Welcome back, guys. So let's do another monthly watches, and this time I have this fancy smancy new side screen on my phone. And this idea I got from watching Spooky Astronauts. I've been watching her stuff a lot. Really like that channel. And this monthly watches thing was basically a reaction to her doing that stuff, to Emma's stuff. And I really love the idea because there's so many movies I watch and I can't review them all. I can't review every movie. I don't have the time. Don't have the patience for every movie. And there's some movies I can say like one or two things and then in like a minute each. So like I shouldn't make a video review on it. So this, like I said, we've got the new display showing my letterboxd and showing what movies I will be talking about for this last month of June. So first up this month, I watched Urban Cowboy, and this is a movie that I just saw was on Netflix. I like John Travolta's stuff. I do like to see his movies. I think he's a good actor, and I do like his stuff. And Urban Cowboy I'd never seen before, had to watch it. It is Saturday Night Fever, but urban. It's not as good. It's kind of boring, honestly. To be honest, I've kind of felt bored throughout most of this movie. It's not a movie that I would really enjoy regardless, but I saw it for his filmography. And then next up, we have Torso, which Torso was freaking awesome. I really, really enjoyed this Giallo movie. I kept hearing everywhere online that Torso is a really great Giallo, and I've loved the majority of the Giallo movies I've seen, and it's one of those genres that I want to see way more of. I love Italian Giallos. I think that the ones that I've seen are really, really good, especially from, like I said, Argento, Fulci, Mario Bava. I've only seen one of his, but I do really like Torso a lot, and I really like a lot of these Giallos, so I'm excited to watch more. And I gave it 3.5 stars. I said a really fun and creepy Giallo, similar to Don't Torture a Duckling and The Master from the Edge of the Axe, but this one is fun on its own. That's an interesting thing I said, but I enjoyed Torso. And then next up, speaking of Giallo, I watched Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper, which was really, really fun as well. I really enjoyed this one. It is a nasty movie. It's disgusting. It's a gross movie, but I thought that I really liked how far the movie went, if that makes sense. I thought it was disgusting, but in a way where I appreciated it. Because it's a movie, it's not real, but it's gross. And I really, really appreciated how far they went in this movie. And this movie was just really entertaining, really fun. The killer using the quacking, like making a quacking noise, that's really interesting and fascinating. So I really enjoyed The New York Ripper. And then after that, I watched I Sell the Dead, which I gave 3.5 stars. Really liked this one. This one was really fun. Starring Dominic Monaghan and also Ron Perlman and Angus Scrimm. And it's a story of a grave robber who is on death row, and he's telling his story. And it's a really fun time. It's really enjoyable. I thought that it did a good job of being of standing outside of its genre of a zombie movie, and I really thought it did a great job of it. I thought it really, I guess, like I said, stood out in its genre. I thought it was really fun. And then next up, I watched Becky, and Becky I did a review on. Lulu Wilson, great. Kevin James, great. Really, really liked this one. It was really fun. Again, I gave it 3.5 stars, but I liked it a lot. I thought that the gore and the practical effects are really, really fun. And like I said, seeing Kevin James in a role that it surprised me. I like seeing him in a serious role, and he is scary. He's effective and intimidating, and I really thought that this worked on a lot of levels. And then going to Disney, I watched Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which was a Disney Plus watch. It's a Disney movie that I wanted to see for like my whole life. I just never got to see it. And in my review, I said, pretty whatever, very odd and different, which is good, but it's just such a dated, strange little movie. Not bad, but great. And on Letterboxd, I usually always put very simplistic reviews because I review them on video too. So it's like doing both reviews for Letterboxd, writing it down, and also doing a review on here is kind of just a lot for me. So I with Darby O'Gill, for me, I thought that this one was really forgettable. Like I said in my my little review here that I wrote on Letterboxd, I think it's just a really odd, strange movie. It doesn't make much sense. I mean, it's not trying to. It's a magical, like, Disney movie. It's funny to see Sean Connery in it before he starred in Doctor No. That's hilarious because this came out in 1959. The first James Bond came out in 1962. It's cool seeing him in this, even though he's just really hokey like everybody else. It's a whatever fun time. It's not terrible, but it's not good, really. And then I watched The Help, which was really, really good. It was a Netflix watch. Gave it 4.5 stars. I never got to see this one before. I really wanted to for a while. Really, really great performances. Really fantastic performances. I'm finally get to see that joke that everybody talks about eating the shit pie. And it's from this movie, like that joke with Octavia Spencer. And it's really, really funny. I really do enjoy that joke. And I think that the movie is just a really fantastic movie. Like, it is really well done. It really got me on a lot of levels. I really liked it a lot. And then I watched Trucks from 1997, which is the Maximum Overdrive. Basically Maximum Overdrive, but dull and lame and boring. And it's bad. And then it came out like 11 years after Maximum Overdrive, so it's a TV movie. And it's just so boring and uninteresting. I could not stand it. I gained nothing from this movie. I really did not like it. I gave it half a star, which I barely do for any movie, and this one I felt like deserved it. And then I watched Dead Snow, which I gave 3.5 stars out of 5. I really thought that this one in the last act was really fun. The first 2/3 were pretty boring, but it wasn't like hard to get through. But like the last act really made it worth it to me. Like I thought the last act really worked. And then I watched, speaking of Stephen King, I watched In the Tall Grass on Netflix. Gave it 4 stars. I really liked this one a lot. This one was a creepy, bizarre movie, and I liked the Stephen King-isms, but they worked really well in this movie. They really got me. I really had a fun time watching this one. And then, yes, I finally get to talk about Coffee, which I did a review on. Pam Grier. I fell into the wormhole now where I'm going to start watching more blaxploitation movies, and I had not really seen any. And this is a great one to start at. And I really, really enjoyed Coffee. I thought that it did a really good job of being entertaining, fun. Pam Grier is just so awesome in this movie, so sweet, but also such a badass. I really liked her. I really liked all the performances. It was a really, really fun time, and I enjoyed it so much. And then I watched a movie that I didn't enjoy, which was Artemis Fowl on Disney Plus, because of course the theaters aren't open right now. So we dumped this onto Disney Plus, which I think was a good move, because most live action Disney movies in the past couple years have just been bombing or been very lackluster at the box office. They really bank on their live action remakes or their Marvel movies or their Star Wars movies, and this kind of movie is not something that people go into or want to go see in the theater like all the time. Like, and even this is based on a book series that I never read, but I was the right age when it came out as a kid, but I never read it. I think I was biased because I loved Harry Potter. I thought, I'm not going to read this book. It seems pretty much like Harry Potter, it sounds like. So I didn't check this book out whenever I was a kid. Really didn't like the movie. I hear it's really disgraceful if you've read the book. And again, I haven't read the book, but I hear it's very disgraceful. But I thought just as a movie, it was really bad. Really uninteresting, really boring. Just run-of-the-mill Disney that is at its worst. And I can usually defend Disney even whenever it's not objectively like good, but this one I didn't. And then I watched ICU, which I really freaking like. This is a really awesome movie. It has a really, really good story behind it. And I really liked how it's a movie that really plays with your expectations. You really look at this movie like it's something that you don't expect from what the movie's marketed as. And I really enjoyed that. And even at the end of the movie, without spoiling it, it did another thing where like it opened it up even more in a really cool way. And I really, really love this movie. This movie was really great. Really fresh for a horror movie, and I really, really enjoyed ICU. And then I watched The Hunt, which I bought on Blu-ray. I didn't go and do the $20 rent. I was going to, but then I thought, you know what? It's a Blumhouse horror movie. I'm going to buy it. I buy most of the Blumhouse movies. So I'm like, even though I didn't see it, I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to wait. and I waited and bought it on Blu-ray, and I'm so glad that I did because I really enjoyed The Hunt. This was really fun. You can't take this movie seriously. It is so stupid on purpose. It's completely ridiculous. It's not trying to it's weird. It's making fun of both sides, but it's like it's in a fun way where it's like you can just make fun of yourself, I think at least. And I think that it's so over the top, cartoony, ridiculous with the gore, with the stereotypes, with everything that they are making fun of from both sides. I think it just does a fun job of being so ridiculous, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a really solid movie. And then I watched Pontypool, which was really good. It's an isolation movie, is isolation zombie movie, question mark, quote unquote, where like these characters are in a radio station and then a zombie outbreak presumably happens outside and they're trying to believe if it's true or not. And I love self-isolation movies. Like, self-isolation horror movies are really awesome. 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of my favorite movies ever. Love that movie. Movies like this really get me, and I really enjoyed this one a lot. Did a really good job. And then I watched Doghouse from 2009. Gave it 3.5 stars. This one, it's solid. It's entertaining. I like the idea that it's about guys against women zombies. Like, it's just women zombies. I think that's a cool idea, and I like the uniqueness of that, for that idea. It worked for the most part, but it's not one that I'm going to rewatch much, really. But I think it's a solid enough, entertaining movie that I enjoyed it. And then I watched Cape Fear, Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear. I have not seen the original Cape Fear with Gregory Peck, and I want to now because this movie was really, really good. All the actors in this movie were really, really well, very, very well done. I really thought Robert De Niro was great, like always. Nick Nolte was really good. Jessica Lange, I really enjoy now because I'm delving into her filmography, because I mostly just know her from King Kong 1976, where I don't think she's that good in that movie. It's very odd, and she's very strange in that movie, and it almost like tanked her career like already. But I watched this movie called Tootsie this year with Dustin Hoffman and Jessica Lange, and it was really good, and she's great in that movie. And I thought, watching Cape Fear as well, it's really solidifying that she's really a good actress. I just needed to find stuff that I enjoy her in. So, really like her in the movie a lot. Juliette Lewis is really freaking good, and her and Robert De Niro either won Oscars or got Oscar nominations. I think they got nominations. I don't quote me on that. I can't remember, but I think they just got nominations for this. But they both are great, and it's because of that scene of them in the auditorium. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a great moment. Really liked Cape Fear. And then I watched Cooties with Elijah Wood, Rainn Wilson, Jack McBrayer. It's fine. It's totally okay. I give it 3 stars. I think it had some funny moments. It was goofy. It was entertaining. It wasn't one that I'm going to rewatch really ever, even though I bought it because I found it like for $1 at a pawn shop on DVD, so I bought it. But I guess I'm fine owning it, but I'm not going to really rewatch it much. And then I watched The Cell, which, what the hell was this movie? This movie was so strange. I really don't know what went on in this movie. It didn't make any sense to me. But visually speaking, this movie deserves visual praise. Like, this movie is incredible in a lot of moments and just how it looks. And it's a very good definition of a style over substance movie. Like, it looks beautiful. It's really good. The actors are fine in it. Like, I think they work totally fine. They just don't have much to go with. Like, Jennifer Lopez, I think, is fine. I think Vincent D'Onofrio is good. I think that Vince Vaughn is fine. But it's just not a movie that, you know, that you're going to really think hard about. It's just a very visual movie that's really cool on a visual scale. And then I watched another Disney Plus watch. So I watched The Shaggy Dog from 1959. This movie, the quote says on IMDb, "I was a teenage boy." I guess that's what they said in the movie. I don't even remember, but it says that right there, the quote. But this kid turns into a dog with an ancient spell, and he keeps changing back into a boy, back into a dog, and it's goofy. it's whatever. Honestly, the reason why I heard about this movie was because of the Tim Allen one, and I haven't seen that yet, and I want to, just because that'd be cool to see Tim Allen in one of these movies. Because Tim Allen I enjoy, even in a lot of his silly Disney movies. But this is the original movie, and it was really kind of forgettable. There was nothing really special about it. I gave it 2.5 stars. It's not bad. It's not annoying, but it didn't do much for me. And then I watched this documentary on Shudder, Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Really, really great documentary. I gave it 4 stars. Really awesome. So it's about Mark Patton from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And he goes through his struggle of dealing with this movie and how being gay in real life and being gay in the 80s and dealing with this screenwriter who he really thought was telling him, like, how he wrote the movie, he was making it more gay than what it should be because he was gay in real life, and he really felt offended by it. And I like where that goes. I like the execution with him and the screenwriter. I like that he feels wronged, and I like that it is resolved in a way that's really cool. And Mark Patton, I think, I really got to know a lot about him in this documentary. I think that he seems like a really cool dude, and it's really sad just to see a person go through this. And I like seeing how you just see how bad it is in life, but then life gets better. And I really liked this documentary. It's just really well done. Again, if you're a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street 2 or the franchise, of course see it. Like, I had to see it, of course. I really enjoyed it. And then I watched Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive, which is the follow-up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was the next film that he directed. It's definitely not as good as that. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me is like the best horror movie ever. Like, it's the scariest. It truly is to me. And Eaten Alive, the plot on this says a psychotic redneck owns a dilapidated hotel in the backwater swamps of Louisiana, kills various people who upset him or his business, and he feeds their bodies to a large crocodile that keeps as a pet in the swamp beside his motel or hotel. That's hilarious, and the idea of it is hilarious, but it's not executed in a way where I loved it. Definitely not as much as TCM, but I think that it is solid enough. I gave it 3.5 stars because it does have some legit creepy moments. It has some effective moments, but it's more silly in a way where, like, it's like Tobe Hooper had an in-between. Like, he had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which he says has funny moments, and there are a couple funny moments. And then you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is full-on goofy horror. And this is in between. It is silly, goofy horror. But it doesn't work as well as those two movies I said. It's not a bad movie. It's fine. I do like it. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. But it's just definitely not as good as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And like I said, it's like comparing to me the greatest horror movie ever to like a movie that's totally good and solid. It's still good. Like, I still enjoyed Eaten Alive. And then going back to the Pam Grier, I watched Foxy Brown, which I said in my review, not as good as Coffee, but there are some great moments. And there are some great moments. I thought that Foxy Brown, the follow-up to Coffee, it's like the next one that she made, I enjoyed it for the most part. I didn't like it as much as Coffee, of course, but it worked as being a fun time. Like, I did enjoy it. I was invested throughout, but not as much as Coffee. Like, I just thought it was a fun time. It didn't feel as special as Coffee, but it's still fun, and I enjoyed Foxy Brown. And then I watched Observe and Report, which I totally forgot I already watched this. It was the 2009 movie with Seth Rogen, Anna Faris, Ray Liotta, awesome. Michael Pena, really weird Michael Pena performance. I really thought he was annoying in this movie, but it's the movie where Seth Rogen's the mall cop, and there's a guy flashing all these girls, and he's trying to find the guy, and he's trying to win Anna Faris' heart, and like, it's just really goofy. And I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Like, it's got some pretty funny moments, but overall it's not great, but it's fine. And then I watched for the first time The Ridiculous Six, which was quote unquote ridiculous. It was interesting because I always heard people say when this came out in 2015, I always heard people review saying it's not the worst Happy Madison movie. It's one of the better ones, quote unquote. And I agree. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was fine enough. I think that honestly, the big selling point watching this movie was Taylor Lautner. He was genuinely funny. And watching Taylor Lautner go against type, because the only thing Taylor Lautner was really before this movie in movies was the teen heartthrob. He wasn't anything besides that. And I like how in this he is a complete idiot and he just is goofy and he is so funny and everything he says out of his mouth made me laugh so hard. And the other jokes are not as bad as a lot of the other Happy Madison movies. There are still some really lame jokes, really lame, but there are some that I thought were enjoyable. And then I watched New York, New York, which is another Scorsese film, and Robert De Niro, Liza Minnelli. I like this one all right. I gave it 3.5 out of 4. 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was... It's not one that I really... Like, I do like some musicals, but this is not really like the musical kind of movie I like. Like, it's not a full musical. It's like an artist or a person becoming famous, like doing music throughout. And it was good. The performances were good from both leads. I liked them. I thought they were good. It's just a Scorsese movie. Like I said in my review, it's not one that I'm going to rewatch again, really, but I'm glad I watched it for Scorsese's filmography because I really want to see all Scorsese's stuff. So I watched that. And then the last movie of June I watched was You Should Have Left, which I did a full review on. Really boring. Gave it 2 stars out of 5. My quick review on Letterboxd was the last 5 minutes pissed me off. The rest of the movie is conveyor belt of scares with good performances. And I still stand by that. The performances are really good. I really liked the performances. I really liked how they really did a good job. Kevin Bacon did a great job. Amanda Seyfried did a good job, but she's kind of just thrown out of the movie after a while. And the little girl really is good. Like whatever her name is. I'm gonna look it up. Avery Essex. That's an interesting name, but she portrayed the daughter. She did a really good job. I liked child actors when they do a really good job, and she did. I liked it. I want to point that out because I really thought it was worth pointing out and mentioning. She did a good job. All 3 of the leads are really good. The movie's just, like I said in my little thing right here, it's a conveyor belt of jump scares, and the ending was really stupid. And that's pretty much it on You Should Have Left. There's nothing else I can say. I've reviewed it already on our review on its own. But that is all my movies I watched in the month of June. So go and check out my Letterboxd right here. I post every time I watch a movie or rewatch a movie. I post it there. And I will do this next month where I'll talk about movies again that I watch every month. But if you want to keep track beforehand, here it is right here. And that should do it for this monthly watches, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching.